Hello everyone, Maurice and welcome to Tanks Invest, where we talk about investing, finance, and professional development. For today's video, it's for entertainment purposes only. The stock we'll talk about today will be AMC Entertainment Holding, ticker AMC. As you know, AMC Holding, AMC Cinema, is a movie theater company, a holding company that is operating globally. And with respect to the whole COVID situation that we've endured for the last 1.5 years so far, the stock has sold down quite substantially, right? From the normal time cadence around like the $25 mark, selling all the way down to the bottom of $1.91 at the bottom, at the lowest. And in the recent time, with respect to the whole Wall Street bet momentum trades that we've been seeing so far, and also with respect to a lot of hedge funds, betting on the recovery play that's coming up. We've been seeing a lot of volatility with respect to the stock, right? It's jumping up and down from like the $20 level at one time high to going back down to the $6 level and then subsequently go back up. So there's been a lot of psychological play that's been going on with respect to the supply and dynamic shifts going on. So I'm gonna go through a technical analysis to see what the levels, if you were thinking about investing in it, or what the resistance level should be looking out for if you want to buy in or further dollar cost average. And also with respect to my year-end price target for year-end 2021 as well. So stay tuned, stick around, let's make some money. All right, so moving on to the technical analysis for AMC Entertainment Holding, ticker AMC. You can see that currently today, as of this morning at 10 a.m., we're up about 14% so far. It's definitely a huge pump of volume that we're seeing. So I'm going to go through a technical analysis on where I see going from here, right? But before I do that, let's look at the historical trends. You can see that ever since last couple years in 2019, AMC stock was trading around like the $15 mark and subsequently sold down all the way to the $1.91 level. And this is a combination of a lot of things, right? With respect to poor earnings, with respect to, obviously the adaptation with respect to home movie entertainment systems, and also with respect to just the online on-demand type of service like Hulu Plus, like Netflix, like Disney Plus as well. All of those like online media that you could get just by on your computer or just like at your home entertainment systems on your TV as well, right? A lot of smart TV adoptions as well. So it's been subsequently selling down, and also on top of the whole COVID situation with a lot of shutdowns of theaters across the world, it hindered the stock substantially, right? Selling down all the way to the $1.91 mark, right? And ever since then, because of the slow recovery play that we are seeing, right, with respect to the slow progressions that we're getting from the vaccinations across the world, and also with respect to the economy slowly coming back up, people start going to restaurants, indoor dining, start wearing people don't have to wear masks at the gym or in public systems anymore, to people start going back to more of like the leisure activities, right? Going on cruises, going on airline traveling again, and obviously going back to movie theaters to spend time on on the weekends with the family, right? And with respect to this anticipation, we see a little bit more volume getting picked up. But this volume was so irrational that this basically drove up the stock all the way from the $1.91, from $2 basically to $20.36. This is basically like a 10x from there in the durations from January 06 to all the way to the end of January, around like a February 1st time period, right? So this took about like a month for us to pump up. And with respect to this pump, this was mainly driven by the Wall Street bet, momentum that we got, from the soldiers that we got from that group and that forum, and which subsequently drove a lot of the psychological effect, and CNBC start picking it up, hedge funds start short selling, and then subsequent to that, it created a lot of short squeezes, subsequently required a lot of investors, both on the institutional side but also on the retail side, to buy up the shares incrementally, that build up this volume base and that subsequently pumped the price from the $1.91 level to the $20 level. But with respect to this like short squeeze, this is majorly just a more of a pump and dump type of scheme, because like if you look at the historical trends, if you drew a line, just look at the trends, it's been on more of a downward escalated curve, right? So this was basically forming a huge outlier in the trends, based on normal occurrence, right? And ever since then, whatever goes up really fast comes down really fast, and that's exactly what happened, right? It was just a pump and dump scheme. And ever since then, we've been getting some more like Wall Street that type of pump, that creates more of like a cult-like following, right, on the news, on Twitter, and obviously on the CNBC coverage. That subsequently drove a little bit more of a pump and dump type of scheme now, right? You could see that it pumped up somewhere around like the mid late February time period, and then sold off, and subsequently pumped up again to the $14 level around like mid March again, and then subsequently sold off, and it's been kind of trading sideways from here because like lack of activities with respect to a Wall Street bet. Maybe one of the accounts got banned, or maybe with respect to just the volume just decreases because it's less hype than before now. Right, the hype was basically passed through in the last couple of months, and people are kind of squeezing it out, to the max. That people are like, you know what, maybe I should be moving on to somewhere else. Maybe I should be doing more of a sector rotation play, or maybe focusing on other growth stocks that's highly oversold right now, right? AMC is not a growth stock; it's a recovery stock, but it's been trading like a growth stock. That doesn't make any sense, right? It's like just a psychological play that we've been experiencing so far, right? And as of recent time, you could see that as of today, we're up about 14.6%, up and away, all the way in the peak right here. And you could see that based on the volume that we had, it's an enormous volume. And basically on the MACD perspective, we cross upward from here right now. But the MACD is so enormous, and the gap is so enormous that it's forming a relatively weird shape. More of like a peak away type of momentum trade. And also on the RSI, you can see that we're highly overbought at the moment, which makes sense because of the volume that we've been getting so far on the daily chart perspective. So the next level of resistance that I see going forward, I foresee that we're gonna be continuing to pump up, knowing the fact that we didn't really have a psychological resistance level historically. But I do see us forming some sort of like a reversal somewhere around like the $1985 level, which is the first level, or even potentially hitting around like the 20 mark. But I do see a sell off from there because that's a one-time peak that we've had historically that happened, sometimes around like the late January time period, which you could see right here. And then we're gonna see a pretty sizable sell off, a downward V shape type of drop from here, and the next drop will be all the way down to here around like the $14.56 level, right? Which is gonna be a sizable sell off, about like 17% of a downward trend from here, because we didn't really have any evidential support or any substantial support that we have formed historically that for us to go back down here and then kind of test for a little bit. But however, you could see that the resistance level is relatively weak and shallow, right? The pump was really big, but the drop was really big at the same time without really any evidentiary support or any substantial business fundamental support that's backing this, right? However, we did have a peak that we have formed historically here. So this is definitely a one-time resistance level that we formed sometimes around March 18th, another resistance level that we formed around January 29th, and also another resistance level that we formed in the recent time, only a week ago, on May 17th, at the same level again. So we have formed 1, 2, 3, 4 times of resistance level at the $14.65 level. So I think we will definitely go back down really sharply, going back down there. And I will skip this maybe a time duration of a couple of days from now, or even a week so max, for us to go back to the $14.65 level, right? Because this is a pump and dump type of scheme. And I believe that that should be a pretty strong resistance level. And then if we break that further, contingent on what happens, right? If we see some negative market affectation or negative, verbiage from the Wall Street Bet Forum, or people decide to reverse the cult-like following that they have for AMC stock, then it will go back down all the way to the secondary resistance level, the $12 level, which you can see that we've formed the resistance level several times, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times of resistance level that we've formed. And you can see that the gap is relatively large in here. However, we do have a secondary sub resistance level that formed somewhere around like the March period, and also in the May period as well. So this is a firm resistance level that we will go back down. So I think if I was to take a bet, right, I would start buying in maybe 10% around like the $14.56 level, maybe 5% of my cash balance. And then if we get down to like the $12 level, I would start buying maybe like 10% of my cash balance. And then subsequent to that, you will see that we have had formed a pretty substantial resistance level here, right? We've seen that 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, mainly just 4, 5 times of resistance around like the 11 time period, price level. So that will be the third psychological resistance level that we will buy in. So I'll probably maybe buy if we go down even further there, which I foresee that to be likely, knowing the fact the gap is relatively big. So the possibility of us going down all the way to these levels here around like the $10 or like the low teens level is highly likely. So again, right, AMC you're not really buying based on business fundamental, right? Because this is a theater and this is a recovery play, and also it's declining industry at the same time. So don't buy this because you want to be an investor. You buy this because you are a trader and you know how to read human psychology based on the supply and demand perspective, right? So again, right, the 1111 would be the third resistance level, and if we break that, which you could see that that's a pretty substantial resistance level that form, we'll go back all the way down to the single digits again at the $8.90 level, which is a very strong resistance level that would form, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 resistance level, right? So for us to get down there is possible because of the fact that we have so many big gaps all around in these areas. So if we get down there, I'll probably maybe dump another 20% of my cash balance. I'll start loading up from there. However, if we break that, the next level is going to be pretty steep from here. We're going to go all the way down to the substantial resistance level of $5.41. Which that will be a major sell off from the $20 or the $18 mark all the way down here, right? But again, this is not a stock that you are trading with a faint of heart, right? You want to, this is more of like a gambling stock, right? And this is a pure psychological play. You're not betting on the business fundamental. You're betting on how people are perceiving. This is like basically like a popularity contest in the stock market, and you're basically reading based on consensus and based on volume and based on trends and people's psychology around their appetites. So again, this is basically pure gambling based on people's feelings and emotions. And if you are okay with that, using your money to monetize from people's emotions based on the trends that we see, be my guest to do so. I think you can make a lot of good gains because with respect to emotions trades, it's like buying options, right? You can never really bet the timing of it, but you could tell based on how people are perceiving, and you could tell based on the psychological dynamics of the stock price. And if that's the case, then again, right, those are the levels of resistance that I would. Guys, just to recap on all the numbers that we just saw on the chart with respect to AMC holding ticker AMC. I think the first resistance level that we should be looking out for if you decide to gamble your money, again, right? This is a trade based on psychological level. The first level of resistance will be the 1450, and the secondary resistance level will be somewhere around like the 1250 or the $11 level, which is basically a level that we've tested 7 times. So if you want to do that, I think maybe 10% of your cash balance would be fair for you to get in if you want to place a bet on this roulette table. And if we get down even more, it will be a pretty steep drop from there, right? From the $12.50 level or the $11 level all the way down to like the $9.50 level, right? Again, AMC is a stock that has very poor business fundamentals. The macroeconomic outlook is on the decline. This is just purely a psychological play based on market manipulations. This is a pure volume and pump and dump trade. So really be cautious with respect to putting your money into this investment opportunity. But with respect to the risk, whatever has the highest risk subsequently can generate a huge reward from here. So contingent on you being studious on understanding the psychology behind the trends and the momentums that we're seeing, right? Then it's all fair game, right? Because ultimately, that's what traders do, right? They are able to see the market dynamics. They're able to time the market dynamics at the same time based on how the supply and demand is going to be foreshadowing the near term and subsequently execute on the price level that they feel comfortable in. and further dollar cost average to subsequently generate an alpha and sell by the end of the day to make a return on their profit, right? And with respect to the year-end price target, I think 1150 based on the historical trends, when it was back to normal with the economy, and also going to give this maybe a 40% of a haircut, just because, again, right, AMC is a dying business. Even though as we recover, people coming back to the movie theater, I do see some sort of like a pump because of, just people missing on going back to a theater, or they just miss that experience again. That is gonna create some sort of like an inflated momentum in the near term, but in long term wise, by the time we recover in the next 12 months, when most people forget about the COVID situation by then, a lot of people will forget, or at least care less about that. Bouncing back down to 1150 long term wise would be a fair price because they do hold a lot of good real estate footing. They are a holding company with a lot of great real estate assets. But with respect to the cash flow generations on their mainstream of business, which is movie theater, I am fairly bearish on that perspective. Right, so that's it for today with respect to my technical analysis on this gambling trade, AMC Holdings, ticker AMC. Again, this is a business. This is a stock that has no strong business fundamental with a strong macroeconomic bearish downside from here. But you could definitely make some money if you know exactly what you're doing based on the gauge of the psychological dynamics and the supply and demand dynamics of the trade that we see in front of us. Again, this is a pure emotion play, a pure psychological play. But with respect to if you follow the resistance level that I've identified here and you chip away your chips in the casino methodically, you could make some return from here. And I think the upsides can be massive for you if you know what you're doing. So hopefully you find this helpful, find this clarity if this is something that you're currently in right now or you want to be getting in. Hopefully you guys find this helpful. And please hit the like button, subscribe, and also the bell notification to watch up for the next video. Really appreciate it. Take care. Bye.